Okay, Paramore. This is going to be a long video. It's going to be pretty in-depth. I'm not only going to go through how I did stuff, I want to go through why I did stuff so you guys can actually make your own informed mix decisions. But first, this is the example that I mixed earlier. So let's see how it sounds. Obviously, that was based off of this song, Ignorance. A lot of the mix process came from listening to that song and kind of trying to replicate stuff. So first thing we're starting with is the drums. I'm going to take off all the effects. I'm going to tell you why I put those effects on. Okay, so we're in Superior Drummer 3. The first part of drums is choosing the actual drums. These are the drums I chose here. The Tama Bell brass, this hi-hat, this drum, this tom, this kick, this tom. Now, the snare in the actual song is very attack focused on like the snare top. There's a lot of attack, there's much less sustain. So I wanted to choose a snare that kind of had that attack there already. I obviously had to add some more attack in the mix, but this is the snare we chose. Kick, I needed something sharp that'll cut through the mix. That was just a no-brainer. Toms, I needed just regular attack toms. I actually wouldn't go with this tom. I'd go with something like, nah, maybe that. That's better. And then cymbals, I just needed something that was somewhat full sounding. Cool. All right. So now with the beat, it sounds like this. Now that wouldn't cut through the mix. It's kind of boring sounding. So first thing we had to do was add a lot of attack to the snare. So what I did was I took the snare top and the snare bottom and I bussed it to a snare bus 10 right here. This is the snare bus. That alone sounds like this. Cool. Needed to compress the snare. Suddenly there's that attack right there, especially with this transient shaper. You can see there's a lot of attack, very little sustain. I don't want that much sustain. I don't want the body of the snare. I want the attack of the snare. All right, let's turn the effects from the bus on now. This is an EQ, just to boost around 300-ish. Actually, what is that? 350, and a bit of sharpness around 4K. Next was another transient shaper. You can see how it's getting much more snappy now. And the compressor, just to kind of trim off a bit of the top. I'd actually bring this up a little higher. There we go. Next, the kick needed to cut through, so I took this entire kick track, sent it to the kick bus. It sounds like this. Now, if we turn the effects on, not a fast compressor because I want the kick attack to get through. I mean, a fast release, I don't really care too much about the kick body. I mainly want that clickiness. The EQ, I just cut out around 500. Otherwise, it sounds like this. I don't really want that. So, and the transient shaper, of course, to add some more attack. And that together sounds like this. Now on the snare, I needed some reverb as well. So I bussed it to another bus 3, and I turned on a plate reverb. Some EQ on that too. Now on the toms were quite simple. They had the exact same processing on them. It is a transient shaper. It wanted some more attack. Did not want that much sustain. Bit of compression and a bit of EQ like that. So instead of the tom sounding like this, it sounds like this. Just tighter, cleaner, kind of scooped a little bit. Lastly, I'm using the overhead condenser because I want a little more sharpness in the cymbals. And there is a compressor here. Just a tiny bit of compression. There's an ambience near mic. Sounds like that. I'm kind of using it as like a trash mic. I threw a distortion on it. If you take it out and in, just adds a little bit. I like it. Next, we sent all the drums to bus 10. On that, we had an EQ just to add some high end. Then we sent it to a compressor. Pretty heavy compressor. If you hear this bus, it's actually really overcompressed, which is good because I'm blending it in, and some tape saturation. Lastly, we needed some compression on the entire master, so I threw an 1176 on there, and just a bit more tape saturation. And then I threw another 1176 on the UAD one. That's not a part of the actual Superior Drummer processing, just to make it fit in the mix a little more. By the way, this entire Superior Drummer patch will be available on the store, along with the guitars, if you have Amplitude. So, for the guitars, we use a combination of the Brit 8000, the Brit Tube Lead, and the SLD 100, which is a Soldano. This is a JCM 2000 or 800. I never actually know, but it sounds like this. I'm gonna put it in the middle so you can hear it a little better. We've got a compressor in there and an OCG, a distortion going into it. And then we did a low cut. If we took this out, it sounds like this. And on. Just cleans up the low end. That is the same thing here. Left and right are the exact same. Now, in order to get that like nice wall of sound feel for like a lot of like, I don't know, modern rock songs, I like to do a middle mic, but a roomy middle mic. So this is what I came up with. We'll open it up. We got 3 Mesa amps, Mark V, Mark III, and the dual rectifier. All in its little tri mode. These are all the settings. I didn't actually change too much. If we go into the cabs, you can see a little bit. I moved the U87 because it was sharp. This I used an RE20 because I didn't want a ton of high end. Before it sounded like this. It had a U87 on it and it was just really sharp. It's not super sharp, but there's still like that like 5K-ish area that I did not like. So yeah, that's it. It was actually quite simple. These 3 guitars sound like this. Now, if you listen closely, these guitars are playing the same thing, and this is playing a different thing. It adds a little more character, a little more layers to the mix. And lastly, we have this high guitar right here. It sounds like this. Now, this was important to not have a ton of drive on it because there's already a lot of high end and swishiness, like hissiness, because everything is so driven. So this, even though it sounds kind of weak, it fits in the mix well because it's not super high-endy, creating like a wall of hiss. This has actual chords and tone in it. Anyway, so it's got this chorus on it, which I just found from the Equip board. They ended up using this chorus in some of their songs, so I figured they probably used it in the song I'm trying to recreate, so I threw that on. And it is playing pretty much the higher octave and a harmony of it. So if you listen to this part, it is an octave up, and then it changes. So the fact that all these guitars are playing different parts really helps create a wall of sound, as like if they were playing all the exact same parts, it would just kind of sound like the parts there. There's no layers to it, if that makes sense. So that sounds like this. And it's important to note that on the bus here, I just have a bit of an EQ boost on the highs. Little boost around 200, I guess. And I'm just cutting this frequency a tiny bit. And I'm using a humbucker, by the way. The guitar, humbucker pickup, very important. Oh yeah, and the bass. The bass is interesting because I don't actually have a bass. This is Archetype Plenty X. I just use it for the transposition option, so I transpose that down 12. And then in this group, I have a tube screamer, the SVT3 Pro, the R bass from Waves, EQ. This is a mid-side EQ where I'm just cutting out to 60-ish. It's also boosting it. I never boost like this, but I needed the boost. I actually don't need it too much right now. So bass is actually a pretty good part of this mix. It's unfortunate that I don't have a bass guitar, but I think I kind of did a pretty good job with the octave down guitar. So yeah, that's everything for the mix wise. Now it's time to arrange. So we can actually get rid of all of this. Okay, so this is what we got so far without the drums. Got a verse here. Pre-chorus. And chorus. That loops, and then there's a little breakdown section here at the end. Okay, so for the drums, I'm going to stick to kick and toms in the verse, and then everything comes into the chorus. Okay, we got the drums. Geez, that was a lot of work. Intro? Well, verse. Second part of the verse. Pre-chorus. Alright, let's throw Pro MB on the master here. Cool, let's bring this up in general, just this whole high end here. That sounds great. That sounds great. I want some tape on there. Let's do the 80. Maybe we'll increase the bit depth a little bit. Yeah. Let's actually go back into there. Bit much. And then we'll use my favorite EQ, favorite mastering EQ. And that's it. That's the beat. If you want the guitar patches, the drum patches, they'll be on the store. Sorry, I don't know why I'm so tired. There's a lot of work doing those finger drums, man. There's a lot. It took a lot of time. Yeah, drum patches will be on the store. Guitar patches will be on the store if you've got Amplitude 5, if you guys are a superior drummer. If you're interested in learning music production in depth and actually understanding it instead of following along a tutorial, there's a course down below. It's going to be released September 1st. Yeah, it highlights everything. Production, recording, mixing, mastering, equipment, acoustics even. So yeah, hope you enjoy. If you want to work together on something, send me a DM on Instagram, link below. And yeah, bye.